I'm here to report a terrible crime. This one.
Welcome back to my channel. Harley here to bring you today's dose of madness. We got this from Sky News Australia. Kathy Hochul, humiliating begs New Yorkers richest to return after fleeing Mom Donnie's high taxes. Oh, you just love it. You love to see it. For the simple fact that these people were like, you need to go, deuces, kick rocks. We don't need your money, blah, blah, blah. You don't like it here. Goodbye, goodbye. You know, real New Yorkers are going to stay. And now they're like, so yeah, we're gonna need you to come back because Mom Donnie's got a crazy wish list and we don't have any money, guys. So we need you to come back. Like, really? Really? Oh my God. Let's get into it, guys.
I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who've stepped up. Okay. Cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So I philosophically don't have a problem. It is like I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay. We saw that that's not the case. I mean, you know, Wall Street businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor. I know that for sure.
So, in case you guys don't know what it's saying, it says Hochul remarks come as she fends off mayors on Mom Donnie's demands to hike income taxes and pleas for rich New Yorkers who fled the city to return. Yeah, this is not going to bode well for them. And the billionaires are already saying, nah, Mom Donnie doesn't even like the millionaires. So definitely wouldn't want billionaires there. So yeah, you guys reap what you sow. Maybe the first step should be to go down to Palm Beach and see who we can bring back home because our tax base has been eroded. Yeah, y'all did this to yourselves. Y'all told them to kick rocks. Y'all said that we don't need you. You can leave. But now y'all realize y'all need their money. Now you're like, hey, can you come back? Like, I'm sorry. We didn't mean what we said. Can you come back? Because we need your money. It's like the billionaires are like, nope, we're good. And as long as these billionaires and millionaires don't continue to vote blue and don't bring their California style voting or New York style voting to Texas or all these red states, then, you know, they're going to find out that it's the best place for billionaires and millionaires. So now it says, I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. Well, even though like there's like less taxes in Texas, like wages are still good. You know, like people can still live there. You don't have outrage. And mind you, I don't know if this goes the same for the blue cities in Texas, like San Antonio, Houston, Dallas. But where I lived, it was affordable. Like I had gotten a really, really nice apartment and I was paying like, and people were telling me that I was paying a lot, but I felt like it wasn't. But I was paying like I think $600 to $700 a month for a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom apartment. And my apartment was beautiful, you know? And I had no issues. It was a gated community. I have no worries about anything. I had 2 parking spaces. I was good with it, you know. I had no worries about crime rate. I was able to carry, open carry. Like I had no issues. And financially, like I told you guys before, back then I was making about 30K a year. And apparently to a lot of people that lived, you know, in RGV was like, wow, you're making a lot of money because it was between like me and my husband, you know, we're making each that and our income is like really good, and people are saying like we were rich, but we were like coming from Chicago, we were like, nah, that's kind of still poor because in Chicago, 30K doesn't get you anything. You live in the hood. You have to kind of make sure you're squiggly squidding to to duck away from those bullets, in order for you to afford rent. And even in the hood, like I have friends who live in the hood to this day and own apartment buildings, and they were saying like it's $2,000 a month for an apartment. I was like, wait, you're saying 2 G's to live in the hood where you could get shot or mugged or raped, and you're paying 2 G's for that?
Oh, hell no!
Hell no. For that, you might as well buy a house and pay like $1,500 for a mortgage, and at least you'll be in a better area, But yeah, it'd be crazy. And like I said, it's totally feasible, and I can see why a lot of millionaires and billionaires are moving out to the red areas, because the taxability is so much more affordable because you're bringing more jobs, more income into that state. So of course they're going to welcome you with open arms. So Hochul's comments are contrast to her demands in 2022, where she asserted that Lee Zeldin, Donald Trump, and other Republican New Yorkers leave. Yep, so kick rocks. Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro just jump on the bus and head down to Florida where you belong. Okay, get out of town because you don't represent our values. Hochul call for the former rich residents to return comes as an attempt to secure the state's tax base as Mamdani demands she hike the income tax. The governor referred to the patriotic millionaires group in particular who backed Mamdani's push for a 2% income tax on people making over $1 million. Hochul reportedly wants to use the funds raised by the tax hike to close the U.S. 5.4 billion. Whoever wrote this out should have put like a space in between the US dollar thing, because it's like $ US 5.4 billion gap in Mamdani's budget wish list. Since becoming mayor, Mamdani has faced backlash over his policies in the Big Apple that have seen a mass exodus of high-income residents. Yep, not surprised. Mamdani has recently criticized for his speech during the annual St. Patrick's Day event, where he referenced the genocide in Gaza. Gregaro reacts to Mamdani trying to out victims the Irish by bringing up the genocide in Gaza during the event. Yeah, you know what? I don't think that was tasteful of Mamdani. And again, I'm not surprised because, of course, he's going to be for his community, the Muslim community. And it's like, there's a time and place for you to do these type of speeches. Doing this during St. Patrick's Day is not one of them. You have a whole group of people that should be focused on. You shouldn't be having, Muslims or any other group dancing in these parades. Leave it with the Irish. Let them enjoy their day. That's one thing I get so annoyed with when I used to live in Chicago, that you would have like holidays. The only holiday I know, guys, okay, was Cinco de Mayo. Okay, like I told you guys before, I'm not one to celebrate a lot of Hispanic holidays. So for that holiday, you would think it'd be so geared toward the Latin community and you'll see all the rich culture. No, you start seeing people of other ethnicity come out and, bring out their type of food and bring out their type of merch and push that on the Latin community. And it's like, bro, it has nothing to do with y'all. Y'all need to kick rocks. When you have your holiday, you go do your thing, because we don't come out there trying to solicit to your people. Like, to me, it's like, that doesn't bring communities together. You're supposed to allow people that are from different communities to come in and see your culture and enjoy it, not for them to kind of haggle and solicit to you their own culture stuff. And it's like, nah, that's just stupid. So for him to do this, I just thought that was so ignorant of him, because it has nothing to do with the Irish community.
Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, and I know you're scratching your head going, how on earth are those two related? Well, do I have a story for you. Someone has found a way to connect what's going on in the Middle East to St. Patrick's Day. Yes, I mean, here I was thinking it was just a nice day to celebrate Irish music and drink Guinness. But no, Zoran Mamdani, the Mayor of New York, had on St. Patrick's Day visiting him the former Irish President Mary Robinson. And lickety-split, he managed to turn his speech into one about Palestine.
As we've witnessed a genocide unfold before our eyes, there has been deafening silence from so many. For those who have long cared about universal human rights and the extension of them to Palestinians, silence, however, is nothing new. For Palestinians are so often left to weep alone. The story of the Irish, both in Ireland and in New York City, is at one time a story of oppression, of subjugation, and of discrimination. As we know, it was on Irish soil that the British Empire developed their colonial project.
I mean, come on. Yes, I know that Irish people have been oppressed and discriminated against, but come on. It's St. Patrick's Day. The Irish get a day, and Zoran Mamdani has to turn it into something about Palestine. Like, come on, we don't have to weave everything into something to do with the Middle East.
I'm trying to work out, is he the mayor of New York or is he the ambassador for Palestine in America? Some people have taken to calling him Quran Zoran. But, the thing, of course, he fails to mention as a man who's very compassionate for the oppressed is right now there's quite a few oppressed Muslims in Iran. But no mention of them at all. And, of course, the other thing he failed to mention on St. Patrick's Day is that the Irish who moved to America very much assimilated and became part of the United States in every way, unlike what is happening, not with all, but with a significant number of Muslims in the US. Zoran Mamdani, not least of them.
No, and you know what? I reckon that you would never want to invite Zoran Mamdani to your party, right? Because what he would do is he'd always bring up politics, but all he would talk about is Gaza and Palestine. I mean, the guy would be an absolute bore at every event that he goes to.
He would. And he'd also do a Keir Starmer at the barbecue. He'd say, release the sausages.
He would. And you know what the other thing about Zoran Mamdani is? I don't know if you've noticed, but he always tries to out-victim people. I mean, he's at an event with the Irish where really all he should have been doing was chugging back a Guinness, enjoying himself, doing a toast. He should have just been enjoying himself, but he's gone, okay, yes, there are issues in Ireland, but how can I out-victim the Irish? I know I'm going to talk about Gaza and Palestine because that's all he's got in his repertoire. And it was interesting because a day earlier, this is just a point to show you, he's got no idea about policy because a day earlier he was asked a question about whether he supported a unified Ireland. So this is the political push to get all 32 Irish counties to be governed as one independent nation. I mean, this has been a long-standing issue. And his response was, I got to be honest, I haven't thought enough on that question. No, of course you haven't, because your head's always in Gaza. You've got no idea what you're talking about. Again, he's got nothing on policy. Nothing whatsoever.
You're also the Mayor of New York.
You're also the Mayor of New York.
I don't think it's got much to do with you, to be honest.
No, exactly. I completely agree.
Yeah, I think Zoran is way up in over his head. And what's funny to me is how all these people that voted for him thought they were going to get free-ish, And they're not, because somebody's got to pay for it. And guess who's going to end up paying for it? The middle class and the poor. Because once the millionaires leave, that's how you're going to have left guys. And this is their own fault for voting for this. Y'all reap what you sow. And I'm not surprised that Mamdani is turning everything into like a Muslim thing. Like, look at what's happening in Ireland, because y'all know we did a video about this, where the Irish were starting to fight back because of the fact that you had Muslims there that were doing, horrible things. And they were trying to take over Ireland. And the Irish are starting to fight back because they're like, no, we're not having this no more. We're done. And so he doesn't talk about that, about what's going on in Ireland to the Irish people. And he doesn't talk about the fact that you have Christians that are being, murked because of them being Christian in these Muslim countries. Of course, he wouldn't talk about that, Like, he's not going to talk about anything that's going to make his people look bad. But honestly, if you really wanted to be a good politician and you wanted to be a unifier, you would call a spade a spade. Like I've said it before, if somebody does something wrong, I don't care if you're family, friend, or foe, whatever, I'm going to call you out. And I've gotten called out, like people will tell me, like, oh, like this is not correct, or they'll like give me a heads up about stuff, and I'll go research it more, and I'll see whether or not I was correct, or the person was correct, or we're both correct, or we're both wrong. Like I don't care. Like, it is what it is, but at least I'm honest enough to say, hey, I'm gonna call people out for what it is, even myself. I ain't perfect, but he's so way over his head, and he thinks that he's doing everything right, and eventually people are going to start turning on him, and it's going to be hilarious when they do, and I'm totally here for it, guys. Well, that's all the damage I could do for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Till next time.